Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Wednesday, August 6th. And we are looking at the market, which is pretty interesting. Holding on to the gains. The yesterday's little retracement is still kind of holding, and I was almost thinking that we're going to see a bit more weakness in the overnight, but yes, got a little bit of that, and then pretty much been flopping around kind of where we left it. So. Uh, Twisting in the wind. Interesting market. The news we have for today is pretty darn anemic. So we had mortgage applications come out at 7. Those were a little bit of the upside, positive numbers at least. So a little bit to the upside on the mortgage apps. Nothing until 10:30 when you get an oil report. And then we have a 10-year auction at 1. Excuse me. So that's all. That's all we have on tap in terms of news today. So today's I think we had some earnings come out late yesterday because we had on the Nasdaq at least some further weakness right before the final close of the session. So we saw a little bit more weakness on the Nasdaq going into the overnight. Overall, though, I mean, we just kind of stuck here twisting in the wind, I think, getting the day started right at that 63.50, just below it right now, but it's kind of anyone's guess here where they're going to go. I'm thinking we may see some further weakness. Not sure we have a rally on tap, but we don't have any news to drive it, and overall, earnings are still trickling in, so. Maybe given the last couple of days of selling here, we may see maybe a retest of these lows here at the 62.40s. I'm just going to leave it open right now because it's anyone's guess if they're going to do that. But starting off range bound is the way you're going to go when that happens. And basically look to sell strength, buy weakness. Watch these upper levels if they're going to try to take it higher. Watch these lower support areas, 63.10 to 15. See if they're going to try to take it lower, and then we just kind of react to what the market is trying to do as it kind of develops throughout the day. So no real conviction on my part today in terms of direction. So starting off range bound, looking to buy weakness, 63.30s, 25s down to the 10s for rotations up. Looking to sell strength, 45s, 50s. 60s, 70s up to the 80s here for rotations back down, and that's kind of it. So and then we'll see if they start blowing through the lows here at the 63.10s, a low of yesterday that is, and I think we may have a shot at taking it all the way down here to the 62.30s. If they start trading above this 63.80s, we may have a shot at extending up here towards the 6400, maybe higher. So interesting market. It feels very much like we're twisting in the wind, but that's kind of the way I'm going to start it off today. Then we'll see if we get any directional moves at all out of this. So initially starting off flat out range bound, I'm going to buy weakness, 63.30s, 25s down to the 10s. I'm going to sell strength, 45s, 50s, 60s, 70s up to the 80s for rotations and back down again. So that's pretty straightforward, and that's how we get started. Looking at our oil, our gold, no, gold I'm not talking about, bonds and the NASDAQ. Looking at gold and then moving to NASDAQ. So bonds and the NASDAQ. So bonds pretty much kind of in a range here still, and they're backing off a little bit, but I would say that they're still in a spot where they can take this higher. They're down here. They were up here a little bit yesterday, and I backed off a little bit. I think key area is going to be that 115 edge. They start trading below that guy, we are back in that lower range again. So initially, I'm looking to buy weakness, 15, 10 to 12, or 5 to 6, 115 even, the buck, rotations back up. Looking for shorts against the 26s, 16s, 1608s with a little bit of caution. Since we have a slight bias to the upside, or had for the last few days, and now they're backing off a little bit more than you would like, but I would still look for potential retest of this and potential failure to take them out. So, um, but given the last few days of kind of grinding to the upside, I would be a little bit less aggressive on the short and a little bit more inclined to take long trades against weakness for rotations back up again. Now, if they will take out that 115, we may find ourselves right back into that lower range again. So that's the bonds. Pretty much range bound. I would start with a slight bias to the upside on the bonds. Nasdaq, same story there as the ES, kind of sloppy, holding on to a little bit more weakness on the Nasdaq. I would say you saw this late in the session yesterday. You see that P that ran it lower here, and that was most likely related. I think that was the Super Micro probably reported earnings because they dumped pretty good after the close yesterday, and we'll see if any other stocks which have reported as well. I'm gonna go check things out here after we're done here. So starting off, I would probably start with a slight bias to the downside on Nasdaq, primarily range bound. But if anything, I would probably favor the short trend given some of this overnight weakness. But they retraced it pretty good back into this area as well. So initially starting off primarily range bound. If anything, I would favor the short trend on Nasdaq, but I'm going to start a range bound and then let it show me what it wants to do. So looking to buy against that 120, well, 110, 120s, 23,070s, 23,040s for rotations back up. And then if they trade below the 40s, I think our bets are off. We're heading lower at that point. On the way up, looking for shorts against, well, not this guy, but the probably like 220s, 250s up to that 310s level. Maybe up to the 40s and the 90s, but I would probably lean against that 300 edge. If that comes out, I would probably start leaning towards the long side. This whole pop here above the 300 was all news driven or earnings driven when we got that some of these earnings reports come out, and they reversed that pretty quick. So I think if they start trading above that again, we have a good shot at taking this higher. So looking for shorts against the 220s, 250s up to the 300s to get started. Looking to buy against the 120, 110, 120s, 70s down to the 30 to 40s here for rotations back up again. And then we'll see if it starts trading outside of that range, we have maybe a direction going. So that's kind of the way I'm going to start off on the Nasdaq. And not much news to drive the market, so we just have to take this with a grain of salt and let the market show us what it's likely to do. We don't even have a lot of news coming out the Thursday, Friday either. It's pretty dynamic. So tomorrow we have jobless claims, productivity, wholesale inventories. Not a whole lot to drive the market tomorrow or on Friday either. So it's going to be like that. And I think if without news and nothing needs to drive it higher, I think chances are weakness is on tap, or at least some selling pressures. Looking at oil and gold, on the gold side of things, we are pretty much we're backing off a little bit, but not enough to get back into that lower range. So we are pretty much there. So maybe at the 34.10, they took out the 20s, they're testing 10s. Now if they go below 10, I would look for retracement back into this lower range. So the levels I was going to buy against was the 22s or 2022s and the 10s. They're taking out the 22, so this is the last level I want to buy against for rotations back up again. And if they run it down there, I mean, maybe include the 3400s because they were down there the other day testing it. But I would take off the long bias here at the 3410s and go back more range bound. And if they trade back up again, you can always get back on the long side of this. But chances are we may, and gold has been volatile, very volatile. So there is plenty of range for that thing to move around here. So if they start taking out that 3400 edge, which we've been up here now a couple of times, and if they start taking that out, we have a potential shot at start retracing this little move to the upside. And the gold does that. I mean, sometimes you see it run up like a stall, and then they retrace the whole freaking thing right back to value. So And that's a trade you want to be part of if you can get on it, you know. But right now, initially looking to buy against the 10th. The last one would be at 3400, but I would take off the long bias below the 3410 levels. And then oil, it's just kind of staying in that range, trading around 66, a little bit to the downside, but it's as you can see on capital flow, not much going on there, back in this lower range. Still 64 holding, and they are just going sideways here. So I would start trading oil range bound. I mean, you guys can keep folding this together as long as they don't challenge that 64 level. We are good on the, we're probably going to stay range bound. I don't see higher prices on oil, and unless you get some short-term news event or something like that driving it. But anything we've done, anything to do on oil is going to be to drive it lower. So that's going to be the plan in the bigger picture. So oil will come down. So start trading oil. I say yes, range bound right now. They're going to sell strength 6630s, 67s, 6730s for rotations back down, maybe up to that 6760s. Look to buy weakness 6560s, 65s, 6470s down to the 64s. So that's the bigger range. I would say the inner range is going to be about here, the 67s down to the 65, 6470s. So then that would be the inner range we can look at. But I would not, I haven't been very aggressive on oil at all. It's kind of flopping around back and forth, difficult to trade. So if you get good setups, I would just stay patient on oil and let that set up in a good way before I try to trade it. So that is oil. So range bound oil, slight bias to the upside still on gold, but it's if they start backing off further, we may just have to change that bias pretty quick. Finally, back to the ES, and as I said, without any news to drive this higher, chances are we may see weakness. I can make a case for both directions, but we'll start off range bound and see what side of the market they want to go on. If we're going to get my more seasonal weakness, we'll probably see them start pulling, slowly drifting to the downside here. If we have enough tailwinds to get the hold this whole thing together, maybe even trade higher, then we definitely have a shot at doing that as well. But we're coming off a pretty good run to the upside, so looking for potential weakness is probably the better way to go with it. But I'll make a judgment on that later on today here, see if it's what I think the market's likely going to do. Alrighty, we'll see. We'll leave it there for now. So starting off range bound, we have the range. Outside of that range, we may have a directional move going. So let's trade it as such, and then we'll see you back at 11:30 for the next update. Alrighty, guys, later.